Hey guys, how's it going? Farthest Frontier is the latest entry in the survival city builder genre, and it really takes things to another level with city and resource management. Here's a few tips and tricks I've learned that might help you when you're first starting out and keep your people fed, clothed, and happily working away to bring you to the next tier of civilization. So the first thing that happens when you first start the game is you have to choose a location for your town center. Now there's several things you need to consider. One is access to water. Water is actually pretty important. It gives you access to fish, which gives you a food source early in the game that can be really beneficial for you. If you're playing on maps that don't have lakes on them, then you're going to have a bit harder time getting food. So I recommend playing on possibly the lowland lakes maps to get started if you are first start playing the game. Now, you want to find a good flat location. Now, this map has several hills and stuff right here that are a little scary. The hills over here. Hills have wolves and bears in them, so you want to be cautious of that. But right here, I think you would probably want to start maybe right around in here, in this area. There's some good resources nearby. There is sand. I see willow bushes, lots of bird nest and greens. Now, the other thing you want to check is your fertilities. Hit F on your keyboard and you can see where fertile land is. So we've got fertile land here and a lot down here. Also, here's an even better starting location down here. More flat land, more water. It's away from these hills and mountains. I would bring our people down here and likely settle my first settlement somewhere in this area. You have a lot of good resources, a lot of good fertile land, and water nearby for your starting settlement. So keep an eye out for those things and choose your location wisely. Once you have chosen your starting location, don't worry about where it's at. The game will automatically teleport your villagers to wherever you decided to start your location and start building the town hall. So even if it's halfway across the map from where your settlers are at initially, it's okay. They'll automatically get teleported over and start building the town hall. So the second thing you really need to know about is firewood and water. Those two things are needed by industries and by houses. And you also need water in case there are fires in your city. So I would say the first thing you want to get building in a brand new settlement are those two things. You're going to find those under the resource section of the build menu, and you're going to want a well and firewood splitter. Now, wells, you want to try to put them where there is good access to water. So we've got some water bonuses down here. We've got some good water bonuses up here as well. Try to keep it above 50%, preferably in the 70% range, especially if you are near a lake or something like that. But you will need a well in a decent location so people can come and get the water from it. So we're going to get that well. And we're also going to grab a firewood splitter. Now, a firewood splitter has a desirability rating around it. You can tell that it's a little bit on the red side. So people don't particularly like living near the firewood splitter. It's an industrial building. So we're going to want to build that maybe a little ways away from where we're going to have our residential areas. Maybe we'll put that over in this area. And you need to start thinking about those things. Where are you going to have your people at? Where are your industries going to be? Where's your commercial areas going to be? Kind of think of it as a city, as a sim city type thing. Where are your zones going to be essentially? So we're going to get our firewood splitter over here and start thinking about our industry in this area and probably have our residential over here away from all of that. We'll get those things built and get them set up and running, and we will start producing those goods. Now, speaking of the firewood splitter needs logs to function. Now, Farthest Frontier is a little interesting in that you don't have a lumberjack, which is something that typically many games like this have as a base building. What you have is a work camp. A work camp allows the continuous harvesting of wood and stone. However, it is not unlocked until you have a tier 2 town hall, and you also have to have a stockyard and a wagon shop constructed. That means early game, you have to manually harvest wood and stone. You do that by either clicking on the harvest resource or pressing H on the keyboard and left click and drag an area for harvesting. Any idle laborers will go around and start harvesting those goods, and they will take them here to your storage cart. Now, our storage cart is our early game storage, and as you can see, it does not have much room. It only has a storage capacity of 750, and it holds all of our current weapons, food, and any raw materials. Now, we're going to be using up a lot of those raw materials, so I'm not worried about it just yet, but we do have to consider our storage capacity. But do be sure that you are manually setting harvesting for wood and stone in the early game to start gathering those resources. Food production is a major part of this game. You will need a lot of food. Early game, we have things like hunters' cabins, foragers, fishing shacks, and crop fields and smokehouses. Now, I do recommend going ahead and getting a farm started up early on because farms can take several years to build. I recommend a 5x5 to get started. You don't want anything too big because it's going to take way too many people and you have a limited number of people in the early game. So start with a 5x5. We can count those tiles out. 5 tiles by 5 tiles. And that is going to give us a good starting small farm, and it's going to take several years for this to get built, but once it's done, we will have a good continuous supply of food. Many of the resource gathering buildings in the game can have their work radius moved around. You do that by selecting the building and clicking the retarget building work radius. You can move this wherever you want to move it. I like to try to cover as many fishing spots as I can, so I'm going to remove him there. The forager shack, I have him shifted down here because I want to collect that willow right there. So we're going to move him down here. Once he has exhausted all of these resources right here, I can move this to another location. Maybe I'd like to put him up here to gather these. You may, for a little while, you may be doing a lot of manual moving around of your work areas to ensure you are collecting as many resources as possible without having to build more forager shacks because you are on a limited population. For your hunting lodge, take the work radius and move it around until you see the hunting icon turn green. As you can see right here, we've got some deer over in this area. There they are back there. There's some deer sighted. So we're going to move him right back there and let him start hunting these deer in this area. And how many deer are here? Well, that's a really good thing right there. We can find out by pressing F4 on the keyboard. That changes the resources from just the icons of what is there to how many are available. So you can see how many greens, how many berries, how many deer are up here in this area. There's 5 of them. There's 29 mushrooms. So F4 is a really good little trick right there. I like keeping it on there so I know exactly how many resources I have available in an area. When you're building your housing, you need to consider the desirability. You want to keep them away from your industry. So most of your industry has a negative desirability effect on it. So you want to keep them away from that. However, you want to try to build them in nice, tight little clumps. The reason being are decorations. You want to try to maximize the amount of benefit you get from decorations. One of the best early game decorations is a shrine. Now, it does cost 50 gold to build, and we will build that here shortly as soon as we have that gold available to us. But this gives a really high boost. You can see we're going from 10 up to 19. So almost a 9 to 10% desirability increase for that shrine. That's a massive boost right there. A 9% desirability boost on that one. Very, very handy. Try to build your houses in little clumps so you can build desirability buildings within the center. Get your storage up and running as early as possible. You're going to need storage because it will help with spoilage. You want to get a storehouse, a stockyard, and a root cellar going as soon as possible. The root cellar I would specifically recommend building really close to where your forager is at. That way they don't have very far to go. They do cost wood and stone, so make sure you are still harvesting plenty of those materials so you have what you need to build these buildings. The big benefit of storage buildings are the barrels. Now, barrels don't come available until tier 2, but once you have them, you will get a 5% reduction in spoilage for every barrel that your house has. You can also upgrade them later on once you have higher level town halls, and they will reduce the rate of food spoilage, increase durability, and increase storage capacity. So keep an eye on these, and they will upgrade over time as long as you have the automatic upgrade enabled up here in the upper right. They will upgrade themselves, and you will get more benefits from them. If you are running low on particular resources, such as I'm running low on stone right now, we can click an individual resource, tell it to harvest, and then prioritize it. That way, they will come and prioritize harvesting that resource over anything else that they currently have selected. Right now, we have a lot of trees selected to be cut down, but we've got plenty of logs, but we don't have much stone. So I selected the stone itself, and I told it to harvest these specifically and prioritize them, so they will come and take care of that. We're in year 2 right now, and as you can see, our farm is still being worked on. It still has 408 labor points left, now down to 384. So as you can see, the farm does take quite a while to get up and running. Don't forget roads. Roads are super important for getting your population moved around. You can build roads simply by selecting N on the keyboard or clicking the dirt road in the bottom. You want to try to create a network that will help move your people around as efficiently as possible through the settlement and give them some paths that they can take. Now, roads can be built on angles if you want. There's nothing wrong with it. I know some people be like, oh, curved roads are inefficient. Well, you know what? It's fine. Curved roads are perfectly fine to build. If you want to build a nice curved road and have it curve off to the side, go ahead and do that. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. You're not going to lose that much by having it. But get some roads going so your people can get where they need to go a little bit faster and help get those resources moved in a little bit quicker. If you place a road you don't like, all you have to do, if it's before it's built, all you have to do is select the little build thing and click destroy, and you can delete that section. If the road has already been built, all you do is select it and you select salvage building. Now, it does destroy a huge section of it, so you do have to rebuild that. Just be aware. Farms in this game are a little more involved than you might be used to. Farms have various things such as yield factors, weed levels, rockiness, soil, and then crop rotations are required. For your first year, mine has gotten started a little bit late. I want to just go ahead and add in maybe a thing of maintenance. I want to start trying to clear and get this field ready. On my second year, the best things to grow early game are turnips and peas. And so I would recommend doing something like this. Now, for my first year, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to do some maintenance on the field and try to do a little clearing out on it. Now, the second year, I'm going to do 1 clover and then do 2 runs of turnips. For the third year, I'm going to do peas and then another run of clover and then some maintenance on the field. And then when I come back to this, when this right here is up and gone, then I will rotate back and do peas, clovers, and maintenance on it. I'm doing a lot of maintenance and clovers on this because I want to keep the weeds down. These are going to give me a fairly decent amount of yield, especially once the weeds are gone. Right now, I'm losing a lot to the weeds and everything. But once that's gone, I'll get 184 twice from this, and the peas are going to give me somewhere around 100. Did I say 184? Yeah, the peas are going to give me a little bit as well right here, so I can do that. And that should help me with just enough food to last for right now until I can get some larger fields going and expand our field size and start growing other crops. But you have to make sure that you are doing clover and field maintenance to keep the weeds down and the fertility up. Later on, you'll also be building compost yards that you can use to increase the fertility of the farms as well. I do plan on doing a full detailed guide on farming and the best ways to go about doing it and the best ways to handling in the near future. So if you are interested in that, be sure to subscribe if you're not already and keep an eye out for more Farthest Frontier guides. Don't be afraid of where you're building anything either. Everything can be relocated. All you have to do is click the relocate building option right here, and you can relocate any building in the game. All it has to do is clear the land where it might be getting moved to, and then it will move the building and any resources that it currently has inside it. You don't lose anything by moving these buildings around. So don't be afraid to move buildings. You'll want to relocate buildings as you expand your settlement. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Don't worry about it. It's part of the game. Your city is growing, it's thriving, it's expanding, it's living, it's breathing. Just expand your buildings and move them around as needed as your plans change and as the needs of the city grow. So if you've been diligent, you have everything built that you need. All of your tier 1 buildings are built. Compost is being collected. Shoes and coats are being made over here at the tannery. We have a cobbler. We have everything built that we need. And we have all of our requirements met. 8 shelters, a market, and 30 population. We have our wood planks and our stone. We're ready to upgrade and get on to tier 2. So that's it for me, guys. Just a few tips and tricks to help you get started and get you at least to tier 2 so you can continue on from there. I hope this video helped. If it did, let me know down below. If there are other tips and tricks or things I might have missed, also let me know those things down below in the comments. And with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.